What's up, guys? Arsenal are now in crisis. And I don't use that term lightly. Arsenal are in crisis. Our only fit attacking players are Sterling, Ethan Ranieri, and Trossard. Going in to the back end of the season, that is our attacking options. Now, going into the winter transfer window, we were aware that Saka was out for a long period of time, that G.Jesus was out for the remainder of the season. And we were, I think it was universally recognised by the football fraternity that Arsenal would need attacking reinforcements. It was universally recognised. I don't think anyone can debate that. The whole of the winter transfer window, Arsenal did nothing. Nothing. Then they put in this nothing bid for Ollie Watkins, which was nothing but a smokescreen to appease the fans. It was not a 60 million bid, it was 40 million. And they did that knowing that they had no chance of getting him. They had no intention of getting Ollie Watkins. But this was just to appease the fans and say, oh, well, Mikel tried, Arteta tried, but he didn't want to come. And why would you want to come to be on the bench? So we've gone into this Dubai training camp because of our failure to progress in the FA Cup. We've gone to this Dubai training camp, been rewarded for failure, and we have now lost our only recognised striker for the rest of the season, Kai Havertz. He's out for the rest of the season with a hamstring tear. We also knew that we lost Martinelli recently. He's out for 6 to 8 weeks with a hamstring injury also. So we are in crisis. I'm gonna state specifics. This is negligible. This is negligible. In elite sports, when you're trying to compete, truly compete and win, you need to be proactive, not reactive. Now, we used to have a go at Wenger and previous Arsenal regimes for not being proactive enough in the transfer window, for being reactive. But at least he was reactive. At least when we had injuries, he would act. Previous regimes that got a lot of criticism. But this transfer window, we were not proactive, as top clubs are. We weren't even reactive. We did nothing. We did nothing. Because the manager did not want to sign any players for whatever reason. It's not the owners. It's not the director of football or our Arsenal hierarchy. It is Mikel Arteta. For whatever reason, he did not want to sign any players. Now, I've read that Saka's ahead of schedule, that he's going to be back in early March. But I will advise caution with Saka because he's done his hamstring. He needed surgery. He should not be rushed back. In fact, they should delay it by maybe 3-4 weeks so he comes back in April, just to make sure that there isn't a reoccurrence of this injury, because hamstrings go again very quickly. But I think they're going to rush him back, and I think he's going to go again. But there should be caution with Saka. You should wrap him up, cotton wool, and make sure that hamstring is strong enough so there isn't a reoccurrence. But with this manager, he's going to completely rush Saka back because he's run him into the ground anyway. Playing him game after game, minute after minute. Never taking him off. What we have in our attacking options now going in to the last 14 games of the Premier League season and however long we're in the Champions League is completely unacceptable for a big club. We stand now, at present, with probably the worst attack in the top 6 teams, maybe the top 10. No recognised striker. Sterling, a player that's been out of form for seasons, years, who hasn't hit form at Arsenal, and a young 17-year-old who shouldn't have to be taking this burden, who I love, Ethan Ranieri, one of our own. And this is because of the manager. This is the squad that he has built. Now, I don't know the ins and outs, but there has to be a reason why Edu left so suddenly. And I think him and Arteta were like this. I think they were clashing. Now, it's obvious to me that Arteta is an egomaniac. He's arrogant. He's delusional. Like the Arsenal fan base. And I give Edu most of the credit for where we are now, Arsenal being competitive. I think it's Edu. I think Edu was the one with the vision, with the drive. He was the one recruiting the players. I give it to Edu. And now he's gone. A bigger legend than Arteta, a better player than Arteta, an invincible for Arsenal, and he's gone for whatever reason. And I hope the nuances of him leaving Arsenal comes out, because I know that the main reason has to be because of Mikel Arteta. I think their relationship at some point was strained, and I think that's one of the reasons he left. Now, I'm going to say it again. Arsenal are in crisis. The way it stands now, we have 14 games left for the rest of the Premier League season. And I've done a little bit of, how you call it? I've looked at our games and I've made predictions. I think, and this is me being honest, I think Arsenal's running is very difficult. And I think Arsenal will lose. Out of those 14, I think Arsenal will lose at least 5 of those games. I think Arsenal will lose 5 of those 14 games. Probably win 6 and draw 3, if I'd be more specific. And I think out of 42 points available, there's 14 maximum points available. I think Arsenal at maximum will get 21. I think Arsenal will get 21 points out of 42 in the remainder of the season. And I've looked at all of the fixtures, home and away, forms, injury lists, and Arsenal are going to struggle big time. Big time. I believe the capitulation of this season is coming. It's coming. And it's another season where it's going to be next season. I'm chatting to some of my mates and they're writing this season off already. How can you have a winning mentality and you're already writing the season? We're still in a Premier League title race technically. We're still in the Champions League. And Arsenal fans literally are, even the media, the pundits, they've basically written this season off and said, oh, next season. Arsenal fans, it's becoming a joke. We're becoming a meme. I'm seeing memes on social media of Arsenal fans and Tottenham fans together. Tottenham fans saying, oh, we've not won a trophy in 17 years. And Arsenal fans, another season trophyless. We are becoming, it's a joke. We're becoming an absolute joke. How can you write the season off already? How can you have such a defeatist mindset already? Because you know that the season's gone. And when people like me say for this, I'm negative. Support the team. But hold on a minute. You think the season's gone already. And you know who you are. You know who you are. You're written off the Premier League. You've written off the Champions League. What sort of mentality is this? Even the club, Arteta, seems to have written off the season. Maybe the Premier League is gone, but get transfers in, even loans, and try and go for the Champions League. Try and go for the Champions League, of which we've never won. Nothing. And I believe the one solely responsible for Arsenal's lack of transfer activity is Mikel Arteta. It's not the board, it's not the owners, it's him. The arrogance of the man, the delusion of the man, he thinks that that he could do it, internal solutions or whatever reason, is him. But there's no excuse. We have no PSR issues. We have money in the bank. And even if we didn't identify targets we wanted, we could have got loans. But nothing. Big clubs are proactive. They weren't proactive. Even being reactive. Seeing injuries was happening. Now we have to act. Even being reactive is acceptable. They weren't even reactive. They were completely stagnant. Nothing. And they conned the entire fan base. But not me. Not me. I don't wear these glasses. I do not wear these deluded glasses like most of the Arsenal fan base that make excuses after excuse after excuse. We've turned into next season FC. I've never heard so much excuse making. I mean, how can you have an elite champion mentality, club mentality, when there's all these excuses? Next season FC, it's not right. It's not right. And I think that Arsenal need to hold themselves at a higher standard, and the fan base. And the fan base. There is no excuse. And listen, unfortunately, I think Mikel Arteta's on borrowed time. Yeah, I think he's on borrowed time. Emery went and had the best transfer window out of all the clubs, because he wanted to try and get something out of the season, to finish the season strong. His passion for football. City went and spent 200 million to rebuild for next season, but also to try and salvage this season, moving like a big club. Wolves had a good transfer window. And Arsenal did absolutely nothing. Havertz is injured for the rest of the season. Martinelli's out for 6 to 8. They're going to rush Saka back, and he's probably going to have a reoccurrence of injury because he's been rushed back. It's just an absolute disaster. Almost 6 years in, how many phases we're at, and we have an attack that is championship level when you're trying to hunt Liverpool down and go for the Champions League, and it's under Mikel Arteta's watch. You can't blame Edu or anyone else or the owners. It's under this manager, and he's on borrowed time. And I'm going to say this. The way it's looking, I think Arsenal are in real danger of not finishing in the top 4, not even finishing in the top 5, which could be enough to get in the Champions League. Arsenal are not going to win the Champions League. Arsenal are not going to catch Liverpool in the Premier League. And I think that it's a bold statement, but I think with this attacking line that we've got, this manager, Saliba's thinking about Madrid. Look, I think that we might struggle to get into the top 5. I believe the capitulation is about to start, and then we're going to see what everyone says. Then we're going to see where everyone goes. It's going to be interesting times, because I'm looking, I made, like I've said, I think out of the 42 points, I think Arsenal will get 21, and I think that Arsenal will lose 5 games in the last 14, probably draw 3, and win 6. But I think Arsenal are going to lose 5 minimum. 5 minimum. And even looking at, I wrote down how I think the Premier League's going to be. I think Liverpool, City, Newcastle, Forest are going to be the top 4. And I think Villa are going to sneak into the top 5. And I think Arsenal are going to finish 6th. And I hope that's not the case. But when I'm looking at an attack of Sterling, Ranieri, and Trossard and players that are not on form are not even getting goals from midfield much. They're not chipping in. The corners have been figured out. I think Arsenal are in deep trouble. I think the capitulation's about to start. We're a joke, we're a meme all over the socials, the fan base. And if this season does fall apart, if it's trophyless, if we finish lower than we did last season, we need to start asking serious questions of this manager. The transfer window was a disaster. Why didn't you act? He comes out and says, oh, we only want specific players or specific profile. But you signed Sterling on loan, paying almost half his wages. Sterling's been rubbish for ages. City didn't want him. Chelsea didn't want him. We got a Chelsea leftover scraps. So when you're talking about specific players, stop changing the narrative to suit you. Listen, we're going to see how this season's going to unfold. The next game for Arsenal is Leicester. I'm going to bring you my preview for that game, but I'm going to enjoy the Champions League football tonight, guys. This is going to end this video. All the good stuff. Like, share, subscribe, leave a comment, and I'll see you very soon. Peace.